the OldPreMeds podcast, session number 215. You're a non-traditional student entering the medical field on your terms. You may have had some hiccups along the way, but now you're ready to change course and go back and serve others as a physician. This podcast is here to help answer your questions and help educate you on your non-traditional journey to becoming a physician. Welcome to the OldPreMeds podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, and I want to thank you for being here today. I also want to ask you to do a favor for me. Let somebody know that you know is on this journey as a non-traditional student. Let them know about this podcast. Let them know the value, hopefully, that we provide to you, the listener. And let them know that they can listen for free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever they listen to podcasts. That's what I want to ask you for today. We obviously, or maybe not obviously, if this is not your first time here, or this is your first time here, we take questions directly from the OldPreMeds forum or the non-traditional pre-med discussion forum over at premedforums.com. We have a great question today about really making sure that this is what you want to do. Our student asks, "Hi everyone, I'm going to spare you the details, but I have been exploring medical school and a healthcare career path now for the past 3 years. I graduated with an undergrad in industrial design focusing on medical technology and assistive technology. Burnout from my startup life brought me to medicine and interest in preventive medical technology and my athletic career to ortho and rehab. Then burnout during my post-bacc had me questioning the medical school career path. However, I realized in my last and current position that I want a career that can provide variety, admin, and research with one-on-one patient care, something I am currently missing from my current research administrative position. I've shadowed about 5 different specialties. Some energize me more than others, PTs and dietitians in both inpatient and outpatient settings. I can see myself as either a PT or MD. I've eliminated dietitian. My personal long-term career goals are to improve the time it takes for research to get into practice, translational research, think STTR, SBIR, NCATS, I-Corps. I have no idea what any of those letters mean. Improve preventive medicine, public health, and policy. Start a private practice or health-related business. A few concerns I have about medical school that I would like advice on are finances. I'm still in debt from my undergrad and pursuing a startup after my bachelor's of science. Prereqs. I still have some prereqs I would need that cost time and money. However, I've been exploring some of the programs that don't have specific course requirements and tuition reimbursement. Are there other programs similar to the University of Michigan that accept other types of experiences other than coursework? Test taking. My undergraduate was heavily project and paper based. I haven't done terribly on tests in my prereq so far, but I know I am not the best test taker. I also know medical school requires so much test taking, and I'm not sure if I just haven't developed the right study skills yet, or if I'm just not made to take tests well. Will this have a big impact on my success in med school, and can I improve my test-taking abilities? And time. My entrepreneurial tendencies have me wanting to get to my next step quickly, and I have trouble relaxing and waiting for my time to come. I want to create impact fast, but I know becoming a physician will take more time. I've considered trying to create a side hustle while I go through med school, but doing prereqs and full-time work has been difficult enough, and doubt I'll have time while in med school unless I can get something working autonomously by then. Is it possible to tie this into a career, or any advice to hold back my inhibitions? Patient relationships, MD or PT. Can I get to the same time and relationship with patients as an MD as PTs do? My decision currently is between PhD or MS in engineering alone, MD or MD PhD, PT or PT PhD, or MBA. They might seem unrelated, but all have a similar focus. All in all, every time I walk into the hospital, I feel like I want to and can be doing more, and that medical school is my route. I think if I continue to wait and not pursue it, I will regret it. Oh, man. All right. So this student has a lot of concerning things in the questions that are being asked that make me concerned that he or she is potentially not cut out for this path. And not cut out like they can't do it, but not cut out like they're not patient enough, which is what was one of their concerns. All right, so let's go through the questions. Right, finances. The finances are always going to be an issue. Students fret at the debt that comes from med school, and obviously being in debt already from undergrad, it just piles on. A lot of students do it. A lot of students do it just fine. Debt is debt. It's going to be there. Thank you, Uncle Sam, for making it possible. So in my mind, that's not a valid concern. Obviously, it's there. It's going to be there. But when you're going through the training, you take the money out and you pay it back later. Prereqs. In my mind, prereqs are kind of required, right? Even for programs where it's not required, like the University of Michigan, there are a lot of schools going away from prereqs, but the MCAT still tests on it. And so to do well in the MCAT, which you say you're not a great test taker, which we'll talk about in a second, but to do well on the MCAT, you're going to have those prereqs under your belt. And so in my mind, you need to take those classes to help prepare for the MCAT, if not to widen the availability of applying to other schools that do require courses. Now, test taking, this to me, it's a language thing. When you say you're not a good test taker, you're not going to be a good test taker. When you say that you are in a test taking improvement mode, right, then you are improving your test taking skills. It's a small change in your language that says, you know what, I'm just not a good test taker. Then you're just going to fulfill that prophecy. Versus, man, I struggle with this one thing and I'm working really hard to improve it. Right? It's just a change in mindset from this is just not something I can fix because I am a bad test taker to something that can be fixed to say I don't have the skills right this second to do well. And the student did say that they just haven't developed the right study skills yet. And med school really forces you to do that. Because there are so many tests, you become a professional test taker in medical school. So again, in my mind, if you do well enough in your undergrad classes, in your prereqs, then you're probably building those test-taking skills. And the MCAT obviously will challenge that as well. And then when you're in medical school, you'll figure it out. I think the MD versus PT, I haven't been to PT school, but it's probably not a guarantee that PT school is going to be a lot of tests as well. And so I wouldn't pick one or the other based on what is going to be, quote, easier for you. Time. This is my biggest concern. This student talked about burnout in multiple places. And in my mind, it doesn't sound like burnout. It sounds like boredom. This student is just getting bored about what they're doing. They're frustrated that they're not at their goal yet. And students who are in this position are always unhappy because they think that they should be at the goal line all the time. And in this process, you have to enjoy every step of the journey, or else you will not be happy and you will struggle and you will be burned out and you may be depressed and you may be another statistic, right? You have to enjoy going to class and learning. You have to enjoy preparing for the MCAT. You have to enjoy the tests in medical school. You have to enjoy that whole process. You can't wake up every day and go, have I graduated yet? Am I a physician yet? Am I there yet? Because it takes a long time. And guess what? When you graduate medical school, then you're a resident and you're going to be asking yourself, am I an attending yet? Am I done with training yet? Am I done with my fellowship yet? Am I done? Am I done? Am I done? And then when you're an attending, you're going to have the same issues. And so if you have this mindset, you are going to be unhappy, not just in medicine, but likely in a lot of different places. And you've proven that already with burnout in multiple places. So I would work on that first and foremost. First and foremost, I would work on that. You do not have time for side hustles in medical school. And I actually get very mad at medical students who start businesses in medical school. Your job as a medical student is to be a medical student. It's not something that you have time for, really. You just don't have time for it. Your job's to learn, to expand your career and learn. So that's what you should be doing during that time. And then patient relationships. Again, I wanted to be a PT to begin with, and I shadowed a PT for a while I was in high school. The PT versus MD relationship is very, very, very different. PTs spend a good amount of time with their patients, doing a lot of hands-on therapy with their patients, and that physicians just don't do. And so that relationship potentially is different, and you may enjoy one of them versus another. So it's something that you should just continue to shadow and get that experience to see which one you enjoy more. So lots of great questions, hopefully helpful for you or lots of you out there on this journey, questioning if this is what you want, questioning if you can do it. I would encourage you again to share this podcast with a friend, an advisor, someone to help them on their journey to medical school. Hope you have a great week. Don't forget, if you have a question yourself, go to premedforums.com. Ask your question in our non-traditional pre-med discussion. Have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast.
This is MedEd Media.